Good afternoon. It has been a day, hasn't it? Yes. You can applaud. It's been a great day. Go ahead. So we are in our final session, and before I hand off the microphone, I just want to send a couple thank yous out there. This conference is a huge lift, and as we talked about the projects that lead this is led by the A+ project, so you have them right in the back corner there. We have the Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project, which is right there as well. They're waving. And then Nikki also has a couple other projects that I'm sure you got to visit because of your passport, the SIBS project and the BAT project. So the BAT ladies, please wave as well. Thank you. And finally, the Autism Acclaim Group, which there is a fantastic group of exhibitors that really enrich the conference. So if we want to give a round of applause to our exhibitors today. So with that, I supervise a team, so I'm going to do a little shout out to my team. So again, big lift by all. A special thank you from my heart to Jalissa, Mikhail, Terry, Telly, Antonio, Brittany, Kirsten, Dalton, and Brad, because they are who has helped me lift this part. We are the Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project. And again, it is a very partnered effort and a great effort to get day. I also shout out, because I'm sure there's individuals online, we could not do this without the support, generous support from the Illinois State Board of Education. So I want to thank the Illinois State Board of Education for sponsoring this fantastic event. It is now my pleasure to hand over the podium to Kate Swenson. Kate is creator of Finding Cooper's Voice and the author of Forever Boy and Autism Out Loud. She's had her books on sale in the back throughout the day today, and some of you fortunate individuals got to win those. So with that, Kate. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. for those of you that came to my education breakout, I just want to let you know that the first few slides of this presentation will be the same. I will try to make different jokes. Don't count on it, though. And then just 2 logistic things. I will be back at the table right when we're done. If you want to come grab a Mother's Day present, a teacher gift, something for your office or staff, I'd be so thankful. I have those for sale. And then for anyone that bought a book or took a photo with me, if you could share it. I always forget to say this whenever I present. It would mean so much to authors if you share our books. So just something on social media or whatever is easiest for you. Okay, let's get started. So I flew in yesterday from Woodbury, Minnesota. I love having a break from my beautiful family. I think that that's okay to say. My husband, they're all surviving. I know that the teeth might not be brushed, the lunches may not be packed the way they're supposed to be, but everyone, my kids are survivors. I'm not concerned. This is my absolutely beautiful family, and I will tell you, getting family photos is one of the most important things to me. I will not let this go, even with 4 chaotic children. We took these 2 years ago, and my middle 2 children were playing the water bottle flippy game. I don't know if you've ever played that. One exploded all over our clothes. They were playing swords with sticks, and then I said the meanest thing I've ever said to my family to get this photo. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to repeat it because you won't like me. But I got the photo, and look at my daughter's face. She's like the barometer for the Swenson family. Cooper gave us 4 minutes, 4, to get this. So I am a wife, a mother, which are 2 titles that I hoped that I would have. Published author, I'll tell you more about my books in a little bit. Blogger. I started finding Cooper's voice on an old WordPress site when I lived in Duluth, Minnesota. Cooper was 2.5, my firstborn, and he was not developing typically. And I was so scared, and I had no one to talk to. I had no one to listen to me, to really honestly help me. And so I turned to just writing. I had liked writing in college a little bit, but never really, planned on anything coming of it. And I picked the name Finding Cooper's Voice. And I had no idea that nonverbal was a thing. And I hear that from other parents. I didn't know that some children never talk. It just blew my mind. And so I picked the name Finding Cooper's Voice, thinking I was so witty. And I was like, because when he says his first word, it's going to be so amazing when I share the post. And it was funny, my husband, I said to my husband, I was like, I started a blog. And he's like, what did you name it? And I was like, I'm not telling you, because I mostly want to talk about you. Complain about how hard marriage is. That was the honest truth. I wrote every day for years. Just raw, just open, honest, so scared, just trying to navigate this diagnosis. I eventually ended up starting a Facebook page. I would say, I think it's been about 9 years now. And I really just started Facebook because I wanted a place to share all my autism stuff. There was no other purpose. And I didn't think anything would come of it. And a lot has, because it's got me here today. Finding Cooper's Voice is my life. I get to travel and speak. I get to write. I'm in the process of my 3rd book. I have support groups. I have in-person family groups. I just really have made this my life, and the sole purpose is I know how lonely and isolating this can be, and I just don't want anyone to ever feel as alone as I did in the beginning. Nonprofit founder, so I started my nonprofit with my friend Amanda during COVID. We picked the name The More Than Project because at so many times in this journey we felt less than. We felt like maybe we're not, as good as other moms. Maybe why is it so hard for us? What are we doing wrong? And so we say, you're more than a caregiver. You're more than this. You are so much more. And we have in-person events. I'm actually leaving here tonight and driving to Kentucky. And I'm hosting an in-person caregiver event for 250 mamas and some dads this year too. They're all gonna arrive tomorrow, and we're just gonna give these parents a chance to connect and learn, much like this. There'll be a lot of crying. Also, they get really wild. We're having a dance party, and there's a lot of alcohol. It's a mess, but it's wonderful. It's just a wonderful experience. I added caregiver to this listing as one of my titles not that long ago. And the thing with caregiver is it can be a really negative word. And it shouldn't be. There's nothing negative about that word. But there's always this question, can a parent be a caregiver? Am I a mom, or am I a caregiver, or am I both? And I'll tell you, when Cooper was 2 and 3 and he was this little guy, I was just doing mom stuff. There was nothing different I mean, it felt different, but really, truly, there was nothing different that I was doing. Now that he is 5'8", I'm 5'8" on a good day, so he's right at my height. His feet are bigger than mine, and I always buy him the cool shoes so I can take them, which is like the best part of being a mom. And people are not as kind as they used to be. People are really nice to little people with disabilities. They're not so nice when they get big. And so talking about caregiving and talking about the needs and the challenges, I've just really made it my mission, because I've learned that Cooper's only going to be as strong and as healthy as I am. And that's the part that I think the world doesn't really want to acknowledge. Like, you're just a mom. You signed up for this. You had kids. You can do this for the rest of your life. I just had this fascinating conversation with my friend Adrian, who's a co-author of one of my books. And we were talking about just all the challenges going on in the world right now with autism and help and all that. And she's like, because I had Amos, does that mean that I shouldn't be able to work? Or I shouldn't be able to live where I want to live, or, all these different aspects. And it's like, we can't really talk about it, but it's like, she's like, I can't work. And so it's just, I want to talk about caregiving openly and honestly, so it's not negative. I just want to normalize it. And then advocate, I put reluctant on there, because when Cooper was diagnosed, I was not going to pound the pavement. I really just wanted to help my kid. I didn't even know that there was an autism day or a World Autism Month. I had no idea that it was April. I remember the first time I was scrolling and I saw it. And true story, I said to my husband, I was like, what do you do on World Autism Day? Should we have a party? I didn't know what to do. Are we celebrating? Are we sad? And we actually did have a party in our driveway, and our whole neighborhood came. And I had ice cream, and Cooper laid in the middle of the driveway and rolled around. It was wonderful. It was great. But I was like, I'm not going to hide. Let's celebrate this. And so I mentioned this I hit it really hard in the education one earlier. Advocacy is tiring, and it's thankless. And it's really a lot of work. And so as educators, there's so many things, social workers as well, therapists, there's so many things that you see that could be better, right? I mean, something probably just super simple. You brought it to your administration, you brought it up, and they're like, we don't do it like that. We can't make that change. And it's like, that if you just do this one thing, it will help so many kids. We feel that as parents too. And I've learned, I've fought for Cooper to go on the field trip. I fought, true story, when he was in ABA, they told me that I couldn't hand out birthday invitations because of HIPAA. And I was like, but he's 5. He wants to have a birthday party. And I fought that, and I won. And we were able to invite his peers. I mean, there's just things that sometimes don't really make sense. Keep fighting, please. Keep fighting for your students and for your own kids, like mine. And it makes a huge difference. There are my beautiful humans. I always love this slide. I always say they're the cutest when they're not moving, when they're still on the wall. A little bit about everyone, but I want to start by saying autism is a family diagnosis, and that was touched on up here too. And I don't mean a genetic component. What I mean is autism affects every person in our family differently and at different times. And I didn't know that. So I went through my own grief journey, which I'm going to touch on in this presentation. And when it was done, when I reached what I thought was acceptance island and planted my flag, I made it, I'm good now, I didn't realize that the other people in my family would go through something differently. My husband has grieved in his own way. I remember he broke down one time and he's like, I'm never going to talk to my son. And it was just so hard to see him cry, the only time I've ever seen him cry. The siblings, they experience so much too. And I think it's important for us to remember that this is hard at 43. Imagine being 13 or 7 or 4. And there's so many elements to that. Cooper is in the top corner. He was being Baloo the bear. So he was doing a back scratch. That was part of his 4 minutes that he gave me. We got one photo of him. He no longer looks like that. I mentioned he's really thinned out. He's 5'8" now. He still carries the same diagnosis that we got at 3.5. So it was severe nonverbal autism with the language impairment, which is a huge mouthful to put on a little child's shoulders. I mean, it felt so huge. He is doing things every day that I never thought possible. And I think all the moms, the 3 on the end that have the older kiddos, they were really saying that as well. He is doing things that the world told me that he would never do. The professionals told me he'd never do. But it's not the big things that you think. It's not scoring the goal or the A on the test or, he is doing like, he carries the groceries in, every single item. Most of them he puts away in the wrong spot, I want to be clear. I once lost a pound of chicken and a watermelon. The watermelon I found in the freezer. The chicken we never found. And that is a true story. To this day, who knows? It's a mystery. He rides a trike. He plays Miracle League Baseball. He has 2 best friends that he talks about all the time, and he's nonverbal, remember that. Pa is Peyton, is Dexter. He wants them to come over for a sleepover. He wants to plan events. He's got plans. We are coming to see Thomas the Train at the Illinois Railway Museum in July because Thomas stopped coming to Minnesota. Thomas. And we've been going for 15 years. And so we're driving, and we're counting down the road trip every single day. It's really, every single day. 2 nights in a hotel, water park, all of it. And we're bringing Sawyer, his brother. And so the things that he's doing, he has this beautiful, happy, joyful life. Oh, we also got him a cell phone 2 years ago, and we had no idea what that would look like because he is non-speaking. Well, he texts me his Christmas list every single day. Yeah. He's amazing. We had no idea that he could spell and communicate the way that he could. And so watching this cell phone open up this world for him, it just changed everything. So there's so much good to come. If you're a mama, of a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, you're just in these hard parts, there's so much good to come. I also never want to, sugarcoat over how hard autism is. It's unbelievably hard. We struggle with just unbelievable anxiety, OCD. He moves my furniture every day, and I can't get him to move it back. I just want my coffee table where it's supposed to be. It's a simple request. We struggle with aggression, self-injuring, all the things. Going to restaurants, flying on airplanes, going to hockey games, everything. I always say I long for ease. That's the thing that I long for the most with autism. And I don't know if we'll ever get it. I think it's every day is just going to be a challenge, and I've had to really choose to embrace that. I had to go all in on autism. The boy below him, that's Sawyer. He's 13. He's my typical athletic hockey player, baseball player, popular guy. I worry about him the most, and that always surprises people. He carries autism squarely on his shoulders. He, for whatever reason, they're 2 years apart. He has fallen into this caregiver role, which he doesn't have to be a caregiver. He's a brother, he's a boy, a little boy. He doesn't have to do any of this. He worries so much about Cooper. He just wants to take care of him. He told me he's positive that Cooper is going to live with him after I die, which he talks about all the time, which feels weird and ominous. And I said, well, what if your wife doesn't want that? And he said, I'll get rid of her. I know, it's so amazing. And I was like, good luck with that. But he loves his brother so much. And it's not what I thought it would look like. They don't throw baseballs, they don't ride bikes. It's more of a loyalty and like just a devotion to each other. It's really, really beautiful. But we had a couple years ago, we had a week where Sawyer, we didn't know at first until he told us, he was 11, he was teased about autism at school. Fellow classmates were making gestures of hand flapping and teasing Sawyer. And he was angry and he cried every night. And he's not a crier. Like, we had no idea what was going on. It took a couple days for him to tell me. And he explained that he had been teased at school and he didn't know how to handle it. And he's like, I was so angry, Mom, and like I didn't know what to do. And he laid his head in my lap and it was so cute. He's like, you just don't understand what I'm feeling. And I was like, oh, sweetheart, I do understand what you're feeling. Like, I know all of it. We actually put him in therapy right away. I was pretty nervous about it. I felt like I was failing. Like, am I not doing the right things? And has anyone heard of the term parentification? So we learned about this term where siblings start caring for a sibling with a disability. And I said to the therapist, I'm like, I'm not making him do this. And he looked at me and he's like, it's not anything you did wrong, it's what you're doing right. Cooper is just so loved and so treasured. He's like, so don't look at this as a bad thing, but just make sure Sawyer gets to be a little boy first. And so of all the things that we have navigating the sibling dynamic is the hardest, honestly. Harbor, he's the one in the yellow. He is part velociraptor. He's the reason we hide the scissors, glue, and tape. contraband above the fridge. He will take everything apart, and he turns everything into paste, and I don't know, it's amazing. He's like a unique human, but he's also the happiest person I've ever known, so he's my sunshine kid. He does not have a caregiving bone in his body. He is not the one that we are ever gonna leave, I don't think, with Cooper, and that's okay. Maybe it will come. But the other, when Autism Out Loud came out, I interviewed him on a live, hot mic, live interview, and I said to him, what's it like to have a brother with autism? And he said to me, it's really hard. And I didn't expect him to say that, and then he whispered, but I really want to be like Sawyer so I can help my brother. He hasn't done it yet. It was a year ago, but it was very sweet. And something is blossoming. I do see something blossoming, but that's a big age difference, 7 and 15. And it's always been like, the way I describe our home, Cooper's like our nucleus, and we just sort of orbit around him. We come and go and take turns, and Cooper's just always there. And I think he's starting to realize that now. And then my daughter, Winnie, I never thought I'd have a daughter. That was a surprise. Also never thought I'd have 4 kids. The joke I always say is my husband would say 4 kids are entirely too many. He would probably get rid of that sweet one in the yellow. Like, my little Harbor's my favorite, but I would deny that if ever asked. We have really, really wonderful children. And I think there were many years where I felt sad for Sawyer. I'm like, we made a mistake by having more children. I think I was terrified that I wasn't giving him enough. I felt so much guilt. I'm messing this up. And I don't think that anymore. I think watching them understand differences. Every school conference, I hear that they're the nice kid. They befriend the kid that needs it. Sawyer once, a coach reached out to me and said that a baseball player on his team was having what looked like a meltdown, and Sawyer went up to him and put his hand on his chest and said, breathe. And they breathe through it. And that's what we do with Cooper. So there's so many beautiful things that have come from having a sibling with a disability. I no longer look at it as a sad thing. My Facebook page, I love sharing over there, and I do every day. If you don't follow me, it's Finding Cooper's Voice. I try to normalize autism. I just want people to know that we're just a typical family. We just need a little bit of help sometimes. That's who we are. And so I just share stories of Cooper drinking water from a cup for the first time, or riding his trike for the first time. I mean, they're really simple things. They're not extraordinary things. And people have just fallen in love with him because he works so hard to do what people take for granted. I've had lots of things go viral. I had, which is a blessing and a curse. I had my first thing that ever went viral. Cooper was yelled at an adaptive park by a dad and just screamed at. And I screamed back at him. I'm so glad there was no video. And I just let him have it. And I went home and I filmed a video about it, and it made it all the way to the news. And you know, my message was like, if we can't come to this park when he's 6, where do we go when he's 15? And 20, and it was so scary to me. And then we won a contest with Jimmy Fallon. He said mama with his speech device, and we won that contest. That was really fun. And then I had a very viral video that some of you may have seen. It made it all the way to the Today Show. Al Roker compared it to the Super Bowl. And it was me crying in my car. It was the first time that I realized autism was forever. No one had ever told me that. I thought that if I did enough things and I did enough therapies and found the magic pill, and I could help him and he'd be fine. And when I realized that it might not get better and that I have to accept this life, I just hit my bottom. I mean, that was my lowest point. And I filmed just a video, just talking. And I turned my phone off and I went into work. And when I came out, I had all these text messages that said, you went viral. And I'm like, what's that mean? I was brand new. I had like 7 followers. And it exploded. And I think it resonated with so many people. They're like, you said the thing that we're thinking, but we're scared to say. So much good came from that, so much bad. But it got me where I am today. So I have 4 goals, and I just want to touch on them really quickly because they've evolved, and I think it is interesting. So when Cooper was diagnosed, I know that mama said 1 in 10,000. The number when Cooper was diagnosed was 1 in 68. I mean, isn't that crazy to think? 1 in 68 kids have autism. And when we left the appointment, I said to my husband, do you know any other kids? And he's like, no. I mean, we didn't even know a child that had diabetes. We didn't know a child had anything. Like, we were like, what's happening here? And we lived in a very rural area. We drove back home, and I thought, I have to find other families. Like, I will not survive this alone. And so my first goal was just to find families like mine. I wanted to find a mom for me to connect with, a dad for my husband, and then I wanted Sawyer to have a sibling, just someone he could chat with. And I wanted to find one other non-speaking child. And that took a long time, like 8 years for me to find a kiddo like him. As time went on, I wanted to create a safe space to share. And so when you have a neurotypical child, I have 3, I can ask pretty much anyone my questions. So like if I have a question about, potty training or sleeping or baby food, or, I can turn to the internet or I can ask people. When you have a child like Cooper, there was no one for me to ask. And that was really isolating and really scary. It would either get downplayed, or every child does that, or it's not that bad. And I'm like, but I need to talk about medication or aggression or self-injuring. And so my goal was to create a place just for families to just ask, judgment-free. As time went on, I wanted to help caregivers in crisis, and I'll get into that in the second half of this presentation. At my lowest point, and this is hard to believe, I think, because I do try to share things positively. At my lowest point, the night before that viral video, I was laying on my bathroom floor, and I asked God why he picked me. And I said, you made a huge mistake. I'm not strong enough, and I cannot go on. And I questioned what I should do. I ended up picking myself up, and I did everything I could to help other parents, so no one ever feels like this ever again. Like, it is 2026. We do not need to feel alone with this diagnosis anymore. And then lastly, I want to shatter stigmas. So again, when you have a little one like this having a hard time, you may get some stares and glares, but when they're this big, it's different. You're worried about police. You're worried about bigger things. And so my dream is that if I share Cooper living his life, that the next time someone sees a person having a hard time with autism, that they think, that's like that Cooper kid. That's not scary. Let's just say hi. Let's give him some space. Like, that's my hope. I'll just tell you really quickly, I never planned on writing a book. It wasn't on my bucket list. And a woman from New York reached out to me on my videos, and she's like, you should write a book. And I was like, you're crazy. I was like, I do not have time to do that. And she's like, actually, my neighbor is a book agent. Fly out here. And I needed a vacation so bad that I risked my life and flew out to meet strangers in New York. She ended up really being a book agent. I lucked out. It could have ended differently. And the funny story about it, though, is she told me, she's like, you just need to put your blogs together. Writing a book is so simple. And so I went home, and I was pretty apprehensive, and I put together a proposal, and it ended up selling to HarperCollins, and they bought it. And I was corrected earlier, COVID was 6 years ago. I signed my contract on Friday in March 6 years ago, and on Sunday, the whole world shut down. The whole world. I had no daycare. I had to homeschool my son, which was the worst experience of my entire life. We have still not recovered. No ABA, and my husband was home all the time. It was a lot. And I had to, and I found out I was pregnant. And I had to write this book, and I had these glass office doors, and Cooper used to put like his naked body like up against with his fruit snacks, like, open! And I'm like, where's your father? It turned out beautifully. It is a beautiful book, and I'm so proud of it. And then Autism Out Loud, it was much more fun to write, because I got to write it with my 2 friends. And this is, what's so cool about this book is 3 very different autistic profiles. So Cooper, Jack, and Amos, they're all very different. And what we all experienced as families going through the different stages. So I'll have those after again if you want to come see me. Oh, and I'm writing a 3rd book. I just remembered that. It's called Raising Autism, an Essential Guide for Caregivers. My editor called me yesterday and delivered some tough news to me. I had given her the manuscript, and she's like, well, this is disorganized. I'm like, can I call you next week? I was like, I got a little something going on here. But I'm hoping that this is the book that when a child is diagnosed is given to the mom. I hope this is the what to expect when you're expecting. That's my hope. So we'll see if it turns out. That will be April 2027. But I don't think enough people are talking about Medicaid, waivers, building community, guardianship, all those really scary parts. And so I just want to put it in one place where we can figure it out. And then just one more thing about me. I think the most important thing of anything for a family like mine is community. And I didn't know that in the beginning. I thought it was speech therapy and ABA and going gluten-free. And I was chasing things nonstop for Cooper. It's community. And so encourage your families, if you can, or if you're a parent yourself like me, community. There are online groups everywhere. There are in-person support groups. I have many in Minnesota. I do monthly events. I have my own online group. I have these retreats. But it takes a really gentle nudge sometimes, and to get these parents connected, and they can sit in a room just like you all are and laugh and cry, and they don't have to explain autism. It's just life-changing. Okay, I'm going to share a video really quickly just so you can get some context for who I am. I got to sit down with the Today Show right after my book came out, which was a riot.
So April is Autism Awareness Month, and the CDC says the developmental disability affects 1 in 44 children in the U.S., with boys 4 times more likely to be diagnosed than girls. Well, I recently spoke with one mother who is opening up about her son's journey and offering hope to other parents.
The second that I looked down at him when he was born, I just knew there was something about him. But as development went on, he met his physical milestones on time.
It was Kate Swenson's maternal instinct that saved her son Cooper. While doctors, therapists, and teachers told her some boys are just late bloomers, she felt that a clock was ticking.
No one would really take what we were seeing seriously, and I was starting to panic because early intervention is key. I want to help him catch up.
According to experts, autism diagnosed before age 5, when the brain is still forming, gives a child the best chance for successful treatment. And Cooper was just shy of his 4th birthday. How did they diagnose him? I know there's a spectrum.
Yes, he's on the severe end of the spectrum. He's technically nonverbal, and he's smart, and he's funny, and he's loving. I honestly felt relief when they told me, because I was like, now we know.
The relief was short-lived as Kate and her husband Jamie realized their new normal was about to become a lifelong journey. In her new book, Forever Boy, Kate writes about her son's invisible yet severe disability, one that made him look like every other child, but only on the outside. Once you got the diagnosis, what did you think your future would look like?
I remember sitting there like, okay, there has to be more. Tell me what to do now. No one would.
The struggles were often intense. Cooper didn't speak. He ran away. He banged his head and was aggressive because he couldn't communicate.
I really had some low points where we were dealing with those aggressions, and I was really lost.
When Cooper was 2, Kate found out she was pregnant. Her son Sawyer was born without autism. Did you have reservations about having other children?
We wanted more babies, and we didn't want to let this scare us to not having it. Buzz.
But life with Cooper, who now could not socialize or be outside of their immediate family, drew Kate to a breaking point.
It's just really hard.
She began sharing her struggles in online blogs and videos called Finding Cooper's Voice.
I just want him to be happy. And most of the time, that is enough. The secret world of autism is unbelievable.
Her raw and honest posts helped create a supportive community for other families with autistic children.
You just gotta keep trying, keep hoping, realistically hoping.
How do you find the strength and the motivation to keep trying so hard?
I was missing Cooper's life. I was missing it being sad. I was missing it waiting for this to get better. I was like, I have to change the way I look at this.
And with that realization came another seismic change in the Swenson family. Jamie and Kate divorced.
I really felt like I was carrying a lot by myself because while my husband was very hands-on, he was just a little bit behind in the autism acceptance, which is very common in couples. So I needed to do it alone.
After 2 years apart, Jamie and Kate remarried and added 2 more children to their family, a son, Harbor, who is 3, and a daughter, Winnie, who is 10 months.
Can I get that one more time?
Today, after years of intensive schooling, therapy, love, and very hard work, Cooper is an 11-year-old fifth grader now communicating with a tablet. And while it's not his actual voice, the words and phrases are sweet music to Kate's ears.
He's going to have this great life. He's going to do so many things, and I hope that the world can learn to see that those things matter too.
You know, everything kind of changed for her when she switched her mindset. Not like, how can we fix this, to how can, this is the situation, how do we help him grow?
And she said, and watch him live, as opposed to trying to get to some destination.
And that's what you worry, when you have a child who's neurodiverse, you're trying to, you can take care of the now, but you're worried about the future. And you're not sure, but.
Yeah. I think they did such a nice job with that video. My husband was my IT person. I had to do it at home, and he was sitting right here the whole time I was talking. It was high stress, like high stress. Okay, just to go back to the beginning, that little girl right there is going to graduate from the U of M, for context of how old and how long we've been married for. My mother-in-law said this sentence to me: "You were so young to go through what you did, you were just babies." And it resonated with me so much, because from the second Cooper was diagnosed, I was expected to be an expert, and I had no idea what I was doing. And honestly, today, sometimes the decisions, they feel so huge. Do I put him in a different school? Do I start this med? I don't know. It feels so much heavier than typical parenting. Trust me, they're both hard. I know that. But the stakes feel so much higher with this. And you could even say that from the second he wasn't developing typically. And he was my firstborn. And so I really felt so alone, not knowing what to do. I'm always asked about my pregnancy with him, and if this was a group full of all moms, special needs moms, I'd probably be getting a lot of nods when I share this. I had a very, very typical pregnancy with Cooper. Nothing was out of the ordinary. I had had a miscarriage before him, so I was very scared. And I actually didn't even really acknowledge anything until I was 20 weeks, because I needed to see that heartbeat. And when I saw that he was growing, he was a boy, we named him Cooper. Jamie went and bought a baseball mitt and glove immediately. He was a baseball player. And I remember thinking, we made it. Like, there's nothing else that could possibly go wrong. I mean, I was doing everything right. I took my prenatals, and I was exercising and eating good food. And once I made it to that 25 week mark, I was not scared anymore. And I always put this sentence in here, because the first time that I was asked at an IEP table, tell us about your son's birth, I was like, what do you want to know? Now I know it's because they want to know if there was any trauma, but I was like, what do you want to know? He came out. Like, it felt so funny to me. I still chuckle about that. A very, very traumatic delivery with Cooper, and this is the part that I often see nods from other moms. He was not breathing when he came out. You could say it's because he was 9 pounds of chunk-a-monk baby, but also I don't know if he wasn't ready to come out or what. I was induced on my due date. He didn't know what he was supposed to do. And I was about 30 seconds away from a C-section, and he came out, and you know how when you're on a flight and there's turbulence, and at least I did this. I sort of look around, and if no one else is panicking, then I don't panic. And I was watching my doctor, and this whole team was working on Cooper, and there was no cry. And I don't know if it was 15 seconds or 3 minutes. I mean, it felt like an eternity, and I just kept looking and waiting for that cry. No one was panicking. Eventually, they perked him up. He never had a big cry, really. And they handed him to me, and he was the softest thing I've ever felt to this day. I will never forget the way he felt. And I went on to have 3 more babies. And I will tell you, there was something different with Cooper from the second he was born. And that's the part that I really see the nod from other parents usually. Where my other 3 babies immediately started nursing, fell asleep, snuggled in. Cooper sat up, perfect head strength, looking around, like he was so annoyed. Where are we now? What is next? And that is still the way that I would describe him today. The world does not make sense to him. And I actually, Harbor and I spoke to his first grade class just last week, and we were talking about autism, which is a very hard thing to explain. Let's be honest, it is very hard. And so you just really try to bring it down to a first grade level. And I said, what do you do when you go to a bowling alley? And the kids were like, get our shoes, grab our ball. You know, when you go to a park, the kids know to climb the slide or climb the stairs and, play. At a movie theater, you're watching the screen. With Cooper, from day one, he never knew what he was supposed to do in any given situation. It's just never, the world has never made sense to him. And so I was so confident to be a mom. I wasn't scared. I'm like, I was made for this. All I've ever wanted to be is a mom. And bringing him home, he threw us for a complete loop from the second he was born. He did not know how to nurse or drink from a bottle. He had very severe apraxia, which my therapist friends know, but obviously we didn't know then. Just that his mouth just didn't work. He didn't know how to sleep. I mean, you have one job, friend, one job. He did not sleep through the night till he was 5. And in those early days, he would sleep 45-minute periods of time. It was like he could never get into REM sleep. And so I went back to work full-time after my maternity leave, and I lost like 60 pounds. I saw a picture of me. I looked like a ghost. And it's because I hadn't slept. I hadn't eaten good food. I was just trying to figure out what was going on with my baby. It just consumed me. I started asking for help right away, and people will say that to parents. Did you ask for help? Oh, yes, I did. From my pediatrician to gynecologist to doctor, mom, mother-in-law, friends. And I was sort of told this like barrage of like almost like gaslighting things. I'm going to read through them, but it's just funny because a lot of it is like really shameful towards parents. They told me to relax. Like, you just need to relax. And I was like, something's wrong. You're a first-time mom, so this is new to you. Of course it's hard. You don't know, you don't know. You're a first-time mom. I was told that I probably had postpartum depression, which I didn't. That wasn't my story. But it was easier for me to believe that maybe I did, because I didn't want anything to be wrong with Cooper. I'm like, so maybe. I was told that some babies are just challenging. Dr. Westrom, I'll never forget it. She put her hand on my shoulder and she's like, some babies are just challenging and you got one. And I'm like, thank you. Like, what do you say to that? I was told that boys are lazy late bloomers. Read to him more as time was going on. Stop talking for him. I was told by countless people that we must just be anticipating what he's needing, and that's why he's not communicating or engaging. That wasn't true. I have 4 kids, and 3 just started talking. I didn't do anything different. Put him in daycare, which is funny. A lot of the older people in my life were like, just put him in daycare. They'll get him on a schedule. They'll fix them. He was kicked out of 3 daycares. Thank you. That did not work for him. And let's wait and see until age 3 to worry. And as I know, as educators and early interventionists and all that, that's scary. I mean, that's the norm, and it's scary. It's like 3, like we're wasting so much time here. Like, listen to me. Every single day, I tell a mom or dad to trust their gut. We have to make noise as parents. We can be respectful. We can be kind. But Cooper is one of 300 on a caseload, or one of, who knows what the numbers are. And if I don't keep calling and I don't keep pushing, he's going to move to the bottom. And that really is the reality of it. There's so many kids being diagnosed and so many kids with needs. And so we have to really encourage parents to just keep pushing. That's Cooper with Jamie's baseball mitt from college. Cute. The first time I heard autism, I was working for a big nonprofit, and I hadn't really heard the word as far as I could remember. Cooper was around 18 months, not speaking at all, not babbling at all, didn't play with toys, very anxious guy, not sleeping. His diet was getting smaller and smaller, and just everything was sort of spiraling out of control is how it felt. And I was sitting in a meeting much like this one, and there was medical professionals in front of us, and one of them mentioned autism spectrum disorder. And I had never heard it, I don't think. And she went through this list of things, like doesn't make eye contact, doesn't wave. And I'm like, well, he does that, we're fine. But then she got more detailed, and she was really, really hammering home how Cooper was different. And I felt like she was talking right to me. And I sort of had this fight or flight moment, and I tried to sneak out of the room, and I didn't realize that I had a rolly chair. So when I stood up, it crashed against the wall. And like everyone stopped and stared at me, and I cried. I like deer in the headlights cried, and ran to my office, locked the door, and I entered in the words autism spectrum disorder for the first time ever into Google or whatever. And it brought up these terrifying YouTube videos of young adults having meltdowns. And I remember thinking, there's no way that boy is Cooper, there's no way. This is not our story. And I'm like, it's not going to happen. From that day forward, I spent a lot of time researching autism, learning about autism. What could it be? What couldn't it be? We ended up making an appointment for the diagnosis. They told me that it would be I can't remember, it's in here, but if it was a 6-month or a 9-month wait. But I felt two things. I felt terrified that we were waiting that long, but I felt relief because I was like, well, by then he'll be fine. The speech will work, the OT will work, it'll all click. It obviously didn't. We ended up going to the appointment, and the therapist, it was about a 2-hour appointment in a hot, dark room, and it's a lot of pressure on parents. And he wouldn't stack the blocks, and he wouldn't feed the baby doll. And when it was time to go, they said level 3 severe nonverbal autism with a language impairment, which felt so big. I mean, I'm like, that's more words than there are about me. He's only 3. And it felt like he was a completely different kid. Now, nothing changed. Cooper was exactly who Cooper was supposed to be, but it felt like it did. And on our ride home, my husband and I actually talked about leaving and going to Alaska. We're like, let's move away. No one will know he's autistic there. We talked about living off the land. And I'm telling you, Cooper is the most happy autistic person you will ever meet. There is no pretending, there is no hiding. But it just felt almost like this therapist, or psychiatrist, handed it to us. And I was like, no, you keep that. We're good. I'll tell you, on our hardest days, and so I never say this to scare parents, but on our hardest days were 4 to 8. So ages 4 is really when things started ramping up. We didn't have communication. He wasn't potty trained. He didn't want to eat any foods, or we couldn't, all the parts. It just sort of all compounded. And it lasted till about 9, honestly, when we started medication, which I talk a lot about in my books. I was scared. I was scared to start. He didn't sleep. He had the behaviors kept getting bigger. The hitting and the kicking, and no one talks about that. No one talks about those things. I honestly didn't even recognize myself anymore. I kept telling myself, if I just do more therapy, we're going to figure it out. And I was really isolated because I didn't want anyone to know how hard it had gotten. His severity I couldn't believe that this was our life, and I thought that people would think that I was a bad mom or that I wasn't doing enough, and I was terrified. I love pictures, so I'll just share a few pictures with you. Cooper was and is a bed stripper, so see that picture? He spent years taking the mattress off the box spring off the frame, carrying it throughout the house, stripping bedding. He still strips bedding. He brings a comforter to school every day. And I'm like, it's July. Do we need this? I mean, it's hot. And then if I don't keep my bedroom door locked, I'm like, where's my pillow? Where's my pillow? Okay, I'm 43, I should have my own pillow. He used to line up chairs throughout our house, and you may be wondering, why do they have so many chairs? Excellent question. The red ones were for our kitchen table, but the rest of the chairs were for holidays, and we kept them locked up. We moved them. Garage, basement, he would find them and carry them throughout the house. Now, if you don't have autism in your life, which I know you all do, but if you didn't, right now you're thinking, well, why did you let him? Well, that's funny. Yes, thank you for the joke. It's we didn't let him do anything. We were surviving. And I always say with OCD and anxiety, which is what these things are, it doesn't start out like that. It starts out with 1 chair, and then it's 2. And then I don't have a coffee table. I mean, it just escalates, The picture in the corner, Cooper is a hoarder. We call it treasure collecting now, but he was a hoarder, and he would bring objects all around our house. He does this now, but he picks up because he's very clean now. He picks up. But he would line up thousands of items in our living room floor. And I couldn't figure out where he was getting the items. You know those tubs that your parents drop off after you get married, and it's everything from your childhood? He was going in those. I still find pictures of my ex-boyfriend. I still find love letters, cards, my fishing license, medals, I mean, everything you could possibly imagine. One day, an ABA therapist pulled me aside, and she said, Cooper brought some photos of you to school. And I was like, what are they? And she slid them across the table upside down. And I looked at them, and one was me as a naughty nurse dancing on a bar. One was me taking a beer bong out of a plastic flamingo. Petey was his name. Many photos. And I said, well, he just likes to see me happy. And like, she's like, just check the backpack. I'm like, of course I'm gonna check the backpack. But it escalated quickly. But we laugh now. That bottom photo, I always say that Cooper is near but far. If he was here, he'd be sitting over here. We have an umbilical cord that stretches in between us. It reaches a lot farther now, but for a long time, we had to be touching at all times. And I know there are some autism parents in here. Is anyone your child's person? It is really hard to be someone's sole person. You're the only person that can communicate for them, calm them, get them out of the meltdown, prevent the meltdown. It put a lot of stress on my family, because that's in the background of that picture. I know it's probably small, but you can see people. That's my other kids. Cooper was always pulling us away. And it's gotten better over the years, but there's a lot of pressure in always being his sole provider. My husband's wonderful, his dad. There's nothing that he wouldn't do, but Cooper has just attached to me. Isolation is the silent killer of families with special needs, and most of the world has no idea. I wrote that a lot of years ago. Isolation's real hard. You take a mom or a dad who hasn't slept, they're not eating well, they're not socializing, they're not talking to anyone, they're not sharing. They have a kid who's screaming all day long, there's hitting. It gets real dicey real fast. And I think we have to check on our families, we have to check on our neighbors, we have to just check on these families that have kids with disabilities. And often it's the mom or the dad who you think is so strong. Like, they don't need help, they're the strongest parent I know. They're often the ones that are struggling the most. When Cooper reached his hardest days, it was time for me to make a change. I will tell you, we moved into a new neighborhood when the boys were 7 and 5, and I was pregnant with Harbor, and we moved into this new neighborhood because it was full of kids, and we wanted kids for Sawyer to play with. We moved in, the doorbell rang the day we moved in, and 2 little boys said, "Do you have any kids here that can play?" And Sawyer left, and he was gone for a year. True story. I don't know where he was. My husband brought the garbage out and discovered garage beers, and he was gone for a year. And I was fully isolated. Cooper would not let me out of his sight. We could not go outside. He would scream uncontrollably. And so I was stuck in our home. And I was watching this world happening and these relationships forming outside our window. I could look out and see all these things happening, and I couldn't go. Super pregnant, very emotional. And I think it was it Lori that said something similar? I cried for a full weekend, and I convinced myself that I will do this alone. I will let Sawyer and Jamie live their life. I will do this. I will be Cooper's person, and they can go on and live their life. And it was really scary for me that I was like, this is it. This is the end. It got so much better, but that was one of my lowest points, because I was like, the world is going on and they've forgotten about us. That's really what it felt like. When I reached that lowest point, I realized that I had to make some changes. I had to figure out, the thing is that so much focus in what you do, what we do for these kids, is to help the autistic person. And we should. I'm not denying that. But I'm going to tell you a secret. Cooper's fine. Cooper's happy. He's loved. He has me and his dad and our family to always protect him. I don't know if we're protecting the caregivers enough. Who's supporting us? People often ask me to tell them the story of when I realized it was time to make a change. It was like an evolution. I realized I felt almost as if the world was passing us by. I was missing so much joy in my life. And I found myself at Children's Hospital with Cooper. He was getting a blood draw. They used to call it sedated blood draws. They don't sedate them. You just put a gas mask on a wild animal, and 6 of you try to pin him down. It was terrible. And I was taking a break, and I found myself in this hallway, and I heard Happy Birthday being sung, and I just kind of froze and looked. And it was a little girl in a bed with a handkerchief on her head, and she did not look well, and they were singing her happy birthday. And I just froze and stared, and I think I mumbled happy birthday. And when I got to the elevator, I remember thinking, I am such a jerk. Like, I get to take this boy home. Like, I get to love him and watch him grow up and kiss him and hug him. I don't have it the hardest. And I think it's really important in our lives to be humbled now and again. I think we get so caught up in our own heads. And you may look at me and think, you have a boy with severe nonverbal autism, that's really hard. Well, other people have it harder than me. I'll tell you, I was also missing Cooper's life. And so we do this a lot with a lot of things. Like when I lose 30 pounds, I'll buy new clothes. I'm sure people have heard that. Or I'll get a tattoo, or I'll take the girls' trip or something. I was missing Cooper's life. And I think part of it is I was told that I needed to get him to do all these things for life to get better. So I was telling myself, once he talks, we'll be happy. Once he's potty trained, we'll be happy. Once he sleeps. But there's always a when. And I found myself, around age 10, and it's like, okay, we're not talking. We're not sleeping. We still can't travel. We can't leave the house, all these things. I'm getting older. I'm missing my whole life being sad about this, and I'm missing this boy's life too. I realized I had to let go of that when and celebrate who he is, meet him exactly where he was at. And then, this is like almost my last slide, but this is just so true. Like, it never occurred to me that I had a choice. This sounds so cheesy, I know that. But when autism was presented to me, it was really presented as this death sentence. Like, this is so bad. You don't want this. Remember, it was 12 years ago. It's different now. You want to get him better. You want to move on from this diagnosis and say goodbye to this. And I tried everything I could to help him. I did everything, and he wasn't getting better. He was regressing. And I remember I got so angry. I was angry for years. I used to push my cart around Target and hope people would crash into me because I wanted to fight him. I'm from Minnesota, I'm a fighter. But I was never good at being angry. It was too heavy. It was too dark. I couldn't do it. And, Cooper is the happiest person I know. And who cares if he talks? Who cares if this happens? Who cares if this happens? We're going to figure out this life for him that is joyful. And lastly, this is, again, one more cheesy slide, but I'm telling you, I choose joy every single day. And so the story that I'll tell you, that I'll end you with, is my girlfriend convinced me to go on a pumpkin train a couple years ago, and Cooper loves trains, so we are always doing things. And I usually do a lot of research because there's a lot of rules around Cooper and a lot of things. He's like a gremlin. But I was like, okay, let's do it. And so the whole family goes on this train. We'd been on a pumpkin train before, the one in Duluth, Minnesota, and it was 20 minutes. You go 10, get your pumpkin, and come back. We get on this train, and they close the doors, and they say, we'll bring you to the pumpkin patch, and we leave you for an hour and a half. And I was like, oh my God, what? What's happening? And they're like, oh yeah, it's like a hoedown, it's a blast. And I'm like, is there Wi-Fi? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I literally looked at my husband and I was like, I'm gonna launch my body in front of the train, so take a wife. I'm done, I'm not doing this. So we pull up, and it was my worst nightmare. There were hundreds of people. I saw fire, I saw bongo drums. Someone was juggling flames. I am not exaggerating. We see 2 bounce houses. Cooper loves the bounce house, but he also loves to take his clothes off in a bounce house. I mean, it's tricky. And so we ran to the bounce house, and I'm like, what if they won't let him in? What if he's too big? What if it's get out every 3 minutes? You know the rules. So we paid $50 to this 12-year-old kid manning the door, and I'm like, he stays in. He's like, whatever. My husband and I blocked the entrance and fought with our eyes. I'm serious. At one point, I looked around the corner and Sawyer was driving a tractor. Winnie was running behind, and I was like, be safe. I can't help you. You have to survive on your own in the fire pit over there. It was and I'm being funny, but I'm telling you, it got so bad. He laid across the tracks. The volunteers were yelling at us. I couldn't get him up. He was too heavy. It was a really, really hard day. And I'm still not talking to Rachel, the one that invited me. This is years. We're not friends anymore. I'm just kidding, we're friends, but. And that night I went to bed. I have it the hardest. My kid is the hardest. My life is the worst, right? All the things that we do, we talk to ourselves. I'm a terrible mom. Why my kid? That morning I woke up and I laid there and I was like, you know what? We survived. We did it. We really did it. And it pushed us out of our comfort zone. No one ended up on the national news. No one died, which is our other threshold. But we did it. And so I know that saying choose joy is the cheesiest catchphrase ever, but really switching what I look at with Cooper and measuring success differently in terms of joy. It was a great day. And he kept his pants on, so that was great. Just a few pictures. We have this beautiful life. I want you to know that. It's not sad. We're not sitting around crying. It's hard. education's hard. Lots of the things are hard for us. But we really do have a beautiful life, and we're going to make sure that he is celebrated in every way. Thank you so much. I'm not sure. I think she's coming back. So just a reminder, I'm going to head back there if anyone wants to grab books. I'd love to unload them so I don't have to bring them in my car to Kentucky. Okay, thank you, everyone.
It's like, where is it? All right, the QR code for sign out or checkout has been posted. If you have a difficult time getting it on the screen, there are going to be poster boards with it that will be posted along the hallway on the way out. There's 6 of them. So be sure you sign out, especially if you want CPDUs, social work CEUs. You have to sign out. We have to have that time stamp sign out. So we are going to quickly do some raffles for all of you who completed your core board quest. I think we're getting the raffle basket. Oh, I didn't see it. All right. Our first lucky winner.
You have to be present.
All right, you have to be present to win. Everybody have their tickets out? Our first number is 1536221. Do we have a winner?
You let them pick. They can come up and pick.
Yep.
If you'd like to come up.
Well, I don't know. Are you going to grab one? Yeah, just take one. Sure.
Next winner.
They can trade. All right, next winner is 1536271. How many do we have? 1536260. And these are all raffle baskets that were donated by our exhibitors. So there's lots of fun goodies in them. 1536402. Woohoo! 1536377. Come on down. 1536262.
Oh, right back there.
How many more?
We have 3 more.
Okay. 1536391. Okay. 1536261. Yay. 1536387.
Oh, big round of applause.
1536407. Was there a winner for that last one? Awesome.
3 more.
3 more. All right. 2. Dose. Okay. 153, 62, 92. Yay, Mindy. And for our final raffle basket, 153, 63, 71. Yay. All right, I just want to do a quick thank you. There, as Amy said, are a lot of people that put a lot of work into making this event possible. The A+ staff has been working tirelessly for months, so I appreciate everybody on our team who is at the exhibit booth, who is up here right now, and all of those that were behind the scenes in the back. We have a huge team, and lots of planning has gone into this over the past couple of months to make the event what it was today. So you will receive an email follow-up. You'll have access to all of the recorded sessions. You will also have access to the save the date. We didn't put it in here, but if you want to put it in your calendars, next year is April 13th and 14th. Back here at the Bone Student Center. So that information will be in your email. And again, thank you everybody. Thank you, Kate. Thank you to all of our presenters, our panelists, our exhibitors, our staff. We hope you had a wonderful time.